Hello and a very warm welcome back to my kitchen garden. It is around the last average frost date, so I'm just going to go for it now. It is time to go for it. You might remember, if you're watching the series, when I planted these apricot foxgloves. Now, one of the important things if you are growing foxgloves is that the seeds themselves, they can be a bit poisonous, or they are poisonous. So what I'm doing here is actually working around that and growing my winter crops. So here I'm sowing some swede, and it's going to be swede, parsnip. So long after these come out, I'll be harvesting these. So it'll be totally fine, and I'll have this little gap that emerges to then plant something else in. Maybe I might want to do some winter radish. So today is going to be a fun day, going around doing a bunch of different jobs here as the season really kicks underway, and I'll try not to bang my head on this asparagus. Now, because it's been so dry and there isn't much rain at all on the forecast, you can either, when direct sowing, sow a little bit deeper. Now, obviously, give it a really good watering. I've also done the traditional thing of I've interplanted or intersown the parsnips with radish, because radish takes ages to germinate. But the best trick is a Bill Mollison trick, which is when you have a plank, and this works really well for carrots and parsnips, which are a little bit sporadic when germinating during dry temperatures. Give it a really good water, place the plank on top over the row, and then after a week or so start to check underneath. But the farmers are very busy today collecting silage, so we'll let them be because it's an important job. So we're sowing parsnips and making sure that they germinate. So the idea of putting a plank over the top is that it stops the evaporation, so the germination is nice, and then after a week you start to check underneath, and then once you see first signs of seedlings coming through, you then remove it. Right, on to the next job. Now, the hotbed's been doing well, but the spinach is starting to bolt, so that's okay. Feed that to the chickens, and the peas, I'm going to allow them to grow a bit because they're starting to flower. So these will actually give me my first podded peas. I think it was something like alderman or some kind of tall growing pea. But I'm just moving across quite quickly, getting through some of the radish. Now I can go through and eat the tops of this and sort this out, but I'm thinking about cucumbers, really lovely. There are a couple of little weeds in here, so I can do a little weeding session as well. But what worked, one of the best things that have ever worked in a hotbed, apart from near enough everything, was growing a couple of cucumbers in here, and we grew over 20 kilos. So that's like 45 pounds of cucumbers off a couple of plants in this hotbed last year. So we're going to aim to do the same. This variety is Market More cucumber. Now, this is a lovely cucumber, because Market More is one of the best varieties for outside, and this is exactly where we are, nice and outside. Inside I usually grow Pissandra cucumber, I'll put that one there. Also, this is quite fun, this is a giant tree spinach, or a glitter spinach, that has decided to say hello, and I think if I just leave that in, it will actually grow really tall, and it'll be quite useful hiding the polytunnel from a couple of camera angles, which you'll be pleased about, Sam. Now, the goal here is I don't want the cucumber so much to occupy all of the space. I want it to occupy some of the space, but I might be growing things like cauliflowers and stuff. Like the lettuce will be out soon. The carrots are doing well. I don't think a minute, let's see. Wow. That is the size of carrot you'll see at a Michelin star restaurant. So I'm growing Michelin star carrots here. Right, so what I'm going to do is towards the top here, I've got spring onions coming through as well, and these spring onions are delicious. So kind of between the spring onions and the peas, I'm just going to make a hole, and I can see the root systems of everything else. And I'm just going to squeeze it, and if you just squeeze the sides, it will fall out. If it's still a little bit clinging onto the pot, that's when you give it a tap, but just a little squeeze of the side comes out lovely, I'll give this a good watering in afterwards. Place that cucumber in there. You can see it. Now, what you can do is plant it in a bit of a dip. So you can create a bit of a dip, and it means with rainwater, it'll concentrate that water in and around the root system, because cucumbers, they're so thirsty. One of the biggest mistakes people make with cucumbers is that they just don't give them enough water. So give them as much water as possible. In goes one cucumber there. You know what, I could just plant two together and train one going one way and one the other, which I think I might do. And as you can see, I couldn't quite manage all of the radish, but this hasn't actually gone to seed. So I'd say this is edible, but has anyone seen a French breakfast radish that size? This is the power of hotbeds, I'm telling you now. So I think we'll do something with these. Look at these. Goodness gracious. So clear bit of space. There is one pea, but again, I'm happy to sacrifice, and that can go into a salad. And I'll again plant this quite close up at the edge. A really nice idea would be putting in a little trellis here, so you could also have the cucumbers growing upwards. I'm going to squeeze, see, easy peasy, and plant that in there. And that is very exciting. Yeah. Not woody at all. It's like eating an apple. Wow. Is this a world record for French breakfast, do you think?
That's your lunch, isn't it?
Do you mind, please? I'm eating.
Get it right up in your face.
No. Now it is Operation Plant, and this is kind of a mix of perennials. This is Korean mint, and we've got some monarda and yarrow, which is beautiful, and also some flowers. And this is just a little border that I thought would be quite nice for the pollinators. And I'm putting in a variety called Cosmos Gloria here, which is a beautiful pink cosmos. And I'm going to put two kind of close together, let them occupy that space, and then I'll find something else to fit in here. I'm thinking potentially I've got a couple of interesting nasturtiums or zinnias, something like that would be beautiful, especially like a nasturtium spilling down over into this pathway. And then again, trying to fill in these little gaps, because it's like fill in the gaps and the garden looks after itself. It's like look after the pennies and the pounds look after themselves. I think that's the case with gardening. So little details make a big difference. Here we grew Chinese artichokes last year, and there were some little ones, tiny little ones that I forgot about, that are starting to come through. But I'm going to put in my better specimens here. And this, I'm noticing, because it's been so dry, what I'm going to do is up the mulch game. So I am going to get tons, not quite tons, but it's a figure of speech, loads of grass clippings to mulch as many of my perennials as possible. And as you can see, it's very, very keen to come out and play. So I'll place that one in there, give it a good water later, and then mulch this whole bed with grass clippings, because that's also going to provide some fertility as well. Now, because this is very well draining, it reminded me that I had an order from Incredible Vegetables, and this here is a type of sedum sarmatosum, and it's a spring vegetable that's eaten in Korea and called dolnamu, and it's a hardy evergreen, low-growing perennial that grows on rocky or well-drained soil and makes useful creeping ground cover. I think that under the Taunton Dean and around here would work quite well. So I'll mulch the rest of the things, but I'll just leave this open and not mulch it and put it in here. I think having a sedum would be beautiful. This here is Ford Hook Giant Chard, and these are some Ford Hook Giant Chard seedlings. So Sam was just saying, oh, it's taller than me. And I just had to remind Sam that it is growing in a bed. So I'm still winning for now. Now, this is a fantastic plant. You can eat all of these smaller leaves, but I will be taking this out pretty soon. And I thought,
Can't let it get taller than you.
no, I'm not competitive at all. Pun intended, at all. Sorry. Anyway, 4-hook giant chard, I've actually got 3 plants, and I'm going to grow them around the base of the sweet peas, I think. So yeah, I'll pop them in. Some borage has self-seeded, and we've been harvesting a lot, but there's lots coming through. I think I'm going to keep this one. I might keep that one. I'll keep it in for now. I could always chop and drop it. Also, just behind me here, the Aquilegia has just come out, and it is a truly stunning flower. So really pleased about that. I'm going to space these, even though it's giant 4-hook giant chard, I'm going to space them a little bit closer together than what is recommended. I'm going to give space for that borage. I'm going to leave that borage in as well and see what happens. Chard and borage would probably look quite nice. And the idea is I'll be harvesting the outer leaves of this chard. So by actively harvesting it, I'll actually be able to keep it fairly compact as a plant. Now, the difference of this soil compared to the other soil is night and day, because I put down some compost and then mulched it heavily over winter. And there's plenty of moisture in here. I mean, there's so much moisture, I don't think I'll even need to water these in, which is good. So I'll place this one down and then get the other 2 in. So these Asturian tree cabbage are starting to develop quite nicely. And these are ready to come out before they start seeding everywhere. The bumblebees have been loving them, but as you know, I can't let things get taller than me. And I don't think this will get much taller, but I don't want to risk it. I don't want to risk it. No, I have to actually take that rule back, because I'll have to get rid of the roses, and they're like the highlight. Anyway, I'm going to see if it's possible to get this. Oh, I really think I need a bigger tool for this. Goodness me. No, ready? Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear these out. I'm going to cut them around. Okay, this is actually a really important point, because I think some gardeners get a little confused. We hear a lot, if we want a healthy soil, leave roots in the ground. However, sometimes roots are so big and they're such big roots that they're going to impact whatever you plant next. And so what I actually think the right thing to do here, because it does need a little bit of compost, I haven't amended this bed at all since either last year or the end of the year before. And I do want to put a bit of compost in. And so what I am actually going to do is be brave for the sake of productivity. And you know what? As long as you have that organic matter, soil is going to heal itself fine. So I am going to try and pull it out, which has been a theme in the previous video of pulling out massive brassicas. Are you ready? I'm shaking it to get all the soil out. There we go. Look, like the root system's all right. I mean, you'd never think it was that pathetic looking at the size of this. Anyway.
You're going to film an expo like that?
What, like this? Hello and a very warm welcome. I mean, thanks for watching. You know what, actually, now is a good time to stop, because I don't want people to get bored watching me clear all of these out. So, thank you for watching. You can watch the rest of the series here. Hopefully in the next video, we'll get here early enough where it's cool enough to go in the polytunnel and finally get those tomatoes out.